So Hoodie, you and I know how this beer came about because we've kind of worked together and talked about it for a little while now, but we should probably let everybody else in on the secret. So, what kind of got us rolling on this?
So basically what got us rolling is the fact that essentially whenever we try beers together, it is something completely just, the beer shows where it wants to head and which direction it wants to head. So really by sampling this beer and when we tasted it together, it really guides us in the direction that it wants to go in.
So for those of you listening at home, we did start off with kind of an English style barley wine, which is a very rich, big, really big ale, right? Mm-hmm. For winter time, kind of fortifying in that sense, usually high ABV, right?
Yep.
So we took that and we had this conversation with our friends at West Fork about doing a collaboration and bringing this together. So I know that you and I talked with them about what kind of barrel, but what barrel did we end up choosing?
So we ended up choosing their Old Hammer bourbon whiskey barrels. So it is pretty much kind of the engine that keeps them running, and we decided that would be a great addition for this beer.
But why? What were the flavors coming out of the barrel that we really chose?
So basically what really brought us to fruition is the amount of apple and spice and nuances and vanilla and just a really great flavor profile.
Sure, that's the beer, but the barrel, what kind of flavor came out of the barrel that really attracted us?
Lots of coconut and vanilla and baking spice.
So in the world of bourbon, you've got a whole range of intensity and spices, and this is a little on the lighter side with like coconut and maybe a little butterscotch, you think?
Mm-hmm. A little scoosh of butterscotch.
Just a dash.
Just a dash.
So after we tasted the beer, after it'd been resting for how long?
9 months.
Right, so for 9 months, you and I, pulled it out and sampled it, and we're like, whoa.
It was heading right in the direction of making Applejack.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I kind of thought. We both sort of hit that light bulb moment about the same time. We're like, oh, wow. These light, bright tree fruit, as you like to say, characteristics in the mix, apple, pear, what have you, but then a little bit of the bourbon peeking through. And then what did we do?
And then what we ended up doing is we added a whole lot of apples to it. We actually added a little bit of cider. We also added some smoked bourbon sugar as well to it, and created a simple syrup, and then infused it in the beer, and voila.
So most of those ingredients sound like pretty normal things, but I gotta back you up. Smoked bourbon sugar?
Smoked bourbon sugar. So smoked bourbon sugar comes out of Kentucky, and it's brown sugar that they smoke with bourbon barrel staves. I have no idea how long, but it's amazing.
I know the first time you and I had it, we were both like, what the heck? Crazy geniuses.
Crazy geniuses.
Some pretty good stuff there.
I think actually what they use it for is to rim a glass, probably at a fancy cocktail lounge. But, why
we
not
put it
add
in
to
beer? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so all the flavors that we talked about that we were looking for and ended up getting in, like what type of sort of cocktail, if you will, or liquor-inspired beer?
So what we ended up going with is, which it was leading us, down that path, was Applejack. And
why is that significant?
Because we haven't done an Applejack-inspired cocktail beer.
Well, that's true.
And it is the oldest known.
I think oldest known is probably a little too much. Maybe we should say that, it's one of the oldest spirits in America.
Perfect. Dave, why did we choose Applejack?
Well, if we think about the history of Indianapolis and, signing of its cityhood, if you will, it happened 200 years ago. So if we look back in the history books, we kind of see what was popular in that time frame. And if you look at that and you think about Indiana history and Johnny Appleseed, and one of the oldest spirits produced in America is Applejack. So it's an apple brandy that they just aged in oak, just like you would bourbon.
Ooh, Tell me about the community involvement with this beer.
As soon as we knew that, you know, Indy was turning 200, we contacted the mayor's office and said, hey, is there some space here for us to do something kind of cool and unique to honor our Hoosier heritage and to really speak to being citizens of Indiana, but particularly at this time, Indianapolis. You know, we try to give back whenever we can, as much as we can to, you know, this wonderful community that we live in, that we've chosen to be, you know, our home for Sun King Brewing. This beer, the same as a lot of projects that we do, we've chosen a charity for this guy, so part of the proceeds go back to the Arts Council of Indianapolis to benefit the Bicentennial Legends Mural Project.
When and where can we get this beer?
You can get this beer at any Sun King location on January 6th, 2021, coming soon.